That's adorable.
A touchdown.
And welcome to episode 51 of Shredded Cels. I'm your host, Alex Schmitz, and with me here today doing that awesome opening is Clara Heimberger,
This is my baby voice.
Kenneth McNulty,
I'm a woman.
Peter Frank,
I am also a woman. Don't look at the beard.
and Andrew Gleason.
Kenny, can I ask you out on a date?
I've had so much sugar, of course.
Score.
Yes.
This monster's atrocious.
So, in case you couldn't tell by the title of the episode and that opening, we're going to be talking about a little anime that...
Little anime, it's pretty big.
well, yeah, it is pretty big, actually.
Actually,
But-
it is.
episodes.
I
am
read
so
something
happy.
interesting on TV tropes.
I am
Oh,
Kenny.
what?
I read that the After Story, which is the next season of this, is actually ranked number 2 on the Anime News Network out of like 6,000.
Like
something.
ever? Like best show?
Yeah, the ranking is sort of weird because it's like a combination of like popularity and like critical, and it's a little...
It is a weird ranking.
It's
I'm
a
just
weird
actually
ranking,
sounds like a
but...
perfect-
saying, I
reasonable
read
ranking.
that on TV tropes
No,
while I was reading the page.
After Story is very critically highly acclaimed, like across the anime community.
So good.
Is it because it's so sad people like it because they like to cry?
Basically, yeah.
Misery loves
it's
company.
cathartic. That's
You're
what's
right.
so good about it.
By the way, I'm going to apologize now. I'm going to speak very quickly because I have a lot of sugar in my system. So I apologize to everyone if you don't understand me.
It's okay. I understand you.
Cool, someone does.
Someone understands me.
Continue.
We both talk rapidly, so.
Thank goodness.
Yes. All right. So, in case you're a little bit confused about what's going on right now, we are a part of Tech Heads, which is part of AVW Productions, a media production organization here at Ohio University. We are at Tech Heads, do all sorts of cool
sick.
things with movies,
disgusting.
video games, podcasts. We got a blog, techheads.me. We got a YouTube page at AVW Media. We do all sorts of cool stuff. But we are Shred Cels, an anime podcast, and we're here today to talk about Clannad, a 2007 show done by Kyoto Animation. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about a little bit of news and some of the animation we've watched since last time.
Well, I was going
Kenny?
to say, you may ask yourself, what do we have over other people when it comes to podcasts? And that's Alex Schmitz, our wonderful and talented podcast host.
Aw, how sweet.
I've been nagging Alex to do this anime since last year, so I'm real happy.
And it worked.
No, Clara has been advocating for this one for a long time.
Long
Justice high five.
time.
Yeah. To be fair, it took me a little while to actually finally watch it, but once I did, I just agree with you.
You kept sending me messages on Tumblr, Clara. I'm only on episode 2, and I'm like, keep watching, Alex. So,
Yeah,
Well-
why'd you stop?
Well, fine. I'll talk about it. I really, although like watching like the first episode, having now seen the entire show and after story and everything, it's really kind of like emotional seeing like that first scene on the hill. It's so many feels. But
after story.
the when I was watching it the first time, I wasn't really getting into it until around episode 4. Episode 4 like had a lot of funny comedy, I thought, and that was what really drew me in. And then we're getting to the Fuko arc. But the first couple episodes, I think they try to introduce you to like all the characters, and I sort of prefer the way they did it, like in Toradora, for example, where they really focused on Taiga and Ryuji for the first 2 episodes, and then introduced the other characters as they went along. So, I don't know. Did anyone else have that problem? Like,
Nope.
Nope.
Not even a little bit.
The first 3 episodes were a little hectic with the.
That's the fun, though.
Just
You
so
get
many
thrust into it.
like all of these girls, and you're trying to keep track of which one's which, and you're like, and how they're
you just lost your, we just lost your XLR there, Andrew.
Well, I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I'd have to say the first 3 episodes I thought were fantastic because it did a good job introducing everyone. And while it was hectic, I like that kind of thing because I like fast-paced shows. And while it's not the most fast-paced show, it still did a good job introducing everything pretty quickly.
Let's see, talking to yours again. Man, no, his mic just died. That's weird.
Aw, Andrew.
Okay. And then
So
Andrew.
is
I will be
Peter.
taking the place of
voted off the
Andrew
island.
because I'm basically him except with facial hair. I actually feel basically the same way as
lot
Andrew,
different
to be
things.
honest. I thought it was a bit hectic in the beginning, and I was having trouble identifying with any of the characters because they weren't getting a whole bunch of spotlight. It's like, okay, you're the character that likes doing fortunes. You're the character that doesn't talk to people. You sit in the back of the library. You're the character who's overly aggressive. You're Sephiroth. Because they just sort of glossed over each individual. I didn't have time to decide, how I felt about any of them besides Fuko, because you're some random crazy person carving stars in the back room.
But the question is any of them actually gorgeous enough to be Sephiroth?
Yes.
Good. With his long flowing silver hair.
Yes, I believe she is in fact gorgeous enough to be Seth Rollins.
All right. Well, before we get into the animation we've watched since last time, we're going to take a quick break to try to fix this little mic issue. So we'll be right back.
Hey kids, do you ever wonder what it's like to eat cereal and make it taste delicious? Well, now with Alex Schmitz Flakes, you can have that and listen to a podcast. Delicious, sugary, and filling. Parents, don't sell it to your kids.
And we're back after that little technical glitch and that word from our sponsors.
Thanks.
So now we're going to get
Which made
into
all the sense.
we're going to get
What
into
just happened?
the animation we've watched. Or no, actually news real quick, because there wasn't much news over the past 2 weeks of
News?
huge importance. But there were two things that I thought were kind of cool that I saw on ANN. One for me, the Monica Rebellion Blu-ray was announced to come out on April 4th, I think. Or it's either 4th or 2nd. Now I'm confusing it, which is bad. But, it's coming out early April in Japan, and Right Stuff actually put
I'm sorry.
My heart is beating so fast.
yeah, Kenny drank an energy drink before this
The
podcast.
whole thing.
You're such an
It
idiot.
was
Wait, it
a
was just
poor
rehab.
choice, but it was also funny.
What was the name of
Christ, your
it?
heart's
Congratulations,
Rehab.
listeners. This will
Explode.
be amusing.
It was like lightning rehab or something. I feel like lightning struck me in the heart, and I have to go through rehab. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay,
Oh my
but
God.
basically they're putting an import of it, a U.S. import of it on certain sites like Right Stuff. So I went ahead, put down the $50 to get the Blu-ray, so that's coming. So I really, really want that to get here fast
I
so
wish
I
I
can
had
watch
$50
it.
to buy things online.
Yeah, dude, for real, where'd you get that money?
Work.
Oh. Yeah. What a dweeb.
I know, right?
Oh.
And then second thing, this is just sort of something kind of funny. Hamoru Arakawa, who's the original mangaka for Full Metal Alchemist, apparently she just recently had her third baby, and she said that she played the Pacific Rim soundtrack to it while she was pregnant. So I just think that's kind of awesome.
Did it like come out like a kaiju or something? Because that'd be sweet. Scream! That's exactly what I was imagining.
Well, and she posts, like how the manga people like do little doodles, with their introductions before like a manga volume starts. She always draws herself as a cow, and it showed her like doing human transmutation and there being a baby in like the middle of the circle.
But you can't do that. You can't do that.
Unless you're the creator.
Yeah,
No,
she's
literally,
the
the
creator.
first episode tells you cannot do this.
But the baby's alive. Oh, God, that's worse.
Oh no, it's worse. Okay, so now we'll get into the animation we watched since last time. I've just been sort of keeping up with some of my things. Kill la Kill. I haven't seen Kill la Kill's episode from today, but the one last week was really,
so good.
really
So
good.
awesome.
I'm really enjoying that show. Maggie's been getting really good. Samurai Flamenco has actually had a pretty emotional little episode. Getting a little dark. Golden Time's been good. All the things I've been watching are keeping up their quality pretty much.
All of them.
Pretty much. Kenny, how about you?
I watched the one to watch for this, which is Clannad, a very good show. I enjoyed it. It was great. I watched One Piece. So finally finished the Ennie's Lobby thing.
That's right. So today you guys saw the end of the Lucci fight.
Yeah.
he got
Isn't it
pasted.
badass?
Yeah, but the thing is, the budget just goes away afterwards. It's like,
Oh my
see a
god,
budget,
it took a dump
and
on
their faces
itself.
are like, wah. It looked like paper
It was
mache.
actually terrible. It was so flat and the lines were so thin and awkward. I mean, it's not that hard to draw things proportionally. It's really not. And I get One Piece is all about exaggeration, but I mean, faces.
After a while.
The eyes go in specific places. You don't just.
Put them
no,
right over here
It
and
just,
there.
As an artist myself, it bothers me that you cannot just go and put a little bit of effort. It's not that much more money.
Yeah,
I
that's probably
promise.
called they didn't have as many keyframes for that episode.
But it's a stretch. You could
Literally,
say.
they were just moving the mouth. They could have put the eyes slightly lower to be in line to where eyes normally are.
okay, so
Not for
One
One Piece.
Piece and
Come on,
Clannad.
you
How about you?
know.
Anything else?
And I really want to watch because I'm behind on Bravest Warriors.
Okay.
We've also been watching Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm actually really far in that now. That show is brilliant if you guys haven't seen it. Oh, my God.
I've seen clips of it, but I've never watched
perfect.
it.
It is actually one of the funniest shows I've ever seen.
Like, you know how Kill la Kill is over the top?
Yeah.
This one's probably like if Kill la Kill and Girl Lagann had a baby and then like it was raised in a sex shop.
And it's
That was
super
pretty
sexy,
much
yeah.
it. It's like sexy to the max, but in a really stupidly overcompensating way. It's great.
And everything dies.
Literally, there are puns about everything sexual ever.
boy.
The
It's so
intros,
Perfect for Kenny.
what was it? It was for one of the things, it was like Fight Club, and it was Cat Fight Club. And so, like, they have a bunch of intros like that. They're just puns off of movies like High School Nudical. It was pretty great. It was a panty run. It was great.
And the best part is every time they kill like a thing, like where they're fighting a demon, it's always an actual model they blow up. They like put an actual model they build and then blow it up.
It's really funny.
It's so cool.
Like, it's stupid. It's actually like the dumbest thing I've ever watched in
hands
my
down.
life, but it's so good. And I
Garter's
love
the
it.
best character.
You get so attached.
All right,
like
I'll have to
everything.
give it a try sometime because I do like wacky,
Watch it
silly
by
stuff.
yourself when Jeremy is nowhere near the building.
Yeah, he'll judge you a
Oh.
lot.
He will actually probably stab you.
He might burn you.
Yeah, he might. I've seen clips of it, and it looks like a lot like an American cartoon. With some of its style.
The style is weird, but like sometimes it goes into like hyper realistic mode where it's like
It's
everything's
cool.
really proportional and gorgeously animated, and then there are parts that just aren't. and it's really simple. But that's like it's the show. It's
the
the
Gynax
attitude they
show.
have. So
It's half the fun. That's
it's
all I watched.
beautiful.
Yeah. What about you?
Panty and stocking. Haven't had a whole lot of time to watch things 'cause I've been actually dying. So, because Mark got all of us infected with scurvy.
Yeah, I'm still recovering from scurvy.
And but one of the manga I've been, because I've just been on my laptop reading things. And this morning, the last volume, there's a hair. Never mind. The last volume of a manga I've been reading called Oyasumi Poon Poon, or Good Night Poon Poon, finally released its final volume, 13. And this thing, I've never had something ruin my life more than Poon Poon has. It's actually the worst. It's the most depressing thing, more than After Story, that I've ever read because there is no upside. Even the upside is just melancholy. And it's like, how can this guy's life get any worse? And then it just does. And he doesn't do anything to pull himself out of it. He's like, well, I better just go on with my horrible life. My name's Poon Poon. I'm a bird thing. Because he's drawn as a bird.
That's right. You told me about this.
And, like, everyone else around him is just normal. And he's supposed to look like a normal human, but to us, the readers, he's a bird. Like, a really simple bird.
Maybe everyone else thinks
And
he's a
everyone in
bird.
his family is a bird, too. And it's just... The one time we get a chance to see his face, it's a picture that one of the other main characters draws, and the picture is actually scribbled out so that the readers can't see what he looks like. And then later on, you get to see his face, but it's all wrapped up with bandages, so you only see an eyeball. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I give up. So it has an ending now, and it's not as sad as I thought it would be. I mean, his love interest hangs herself, but I mean, she...
You know.
It was a horrible situation. It's going to take forever for me to get into, which I'm not doing right now. But, yeah.
All
I
right.
read that and watched One Piece.
And what did you think of the most recent Naruto chapter?
Why is he stupid?
Madar's
Why
just
is
being a dick.
Everything about him stupid.
Madara, thank you.
Oh my god, I hate everything about him.
If it makes you want to feel any better, if you really want to ruin your life, drink rehab.
I will not. I've never had a monster. I've never had any type of energy drink, and I'm
feel
sticking
anything.
to that.
I
The
recommend
closest I've
Rockstar.
gone is a Kickstart, but that's just Mountain Dew.
So good. Oh, speaking of, if we're plugging that in, I read the best comic ever you should all read.
What?
Paranormal's the funniest thing I've ever read in my entire life.
Paranatural.
I've never actually openly laughed at a comic every other panel. Like, literally, I was laughing out loud. I always got yelled at in meetings because I was not paying any attention or in class. I'm just saying, look it up. It's really witty and it's awesome.
All right.
Jeremy had half his Skype pictures from it. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Skype
and
pictures.
one of my favorite shonen eyes, it might get turned into a manga or an anime soon. It's called Love Stage. It's really cute, and it's about this otaku who gets shoved into movie business, like his entire family, and he meets this other guy who thinks he was a girl because he played a girl, and then found out that he was a boy but was still in love with him, and it's beautiful. Feelings. But
All
it
right.
might be an anime next year. I'm real
Nice.
happy about that.
That's cool. All right.
Yowie.
Great. Peter?
I have watched Clannad. I've been playing a the visual novel of Clannad, as well as the 2 visual novels of Zero Escape, of 9 Persons, 9 Hours, 9 Doors, and Virtue's Last Reward. It's anime, but you get to choose what your character does sometimes, and usually you end up dying, so that's fun.
Nice.
Just don't trust anyone. Everyone's out to get you.
So like real life.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right.
very-
And Andrew?
It's a very antagonistic view, Clara.
Hee hee. You always got to be on your guard.
Fair enough. I mean, I watched Kill la Kill, which Alex is right. The last episode was just awesome.
I know. I'm really looking forward to
Oh, yeah.
watching
All
it when I
the
get
awesome.
home.
So much awesome. What else did we watch? We didn't watch anything. We didn't watch anything else animated. I mean, he's reading the Clannad and occasionally yelling things. And
Yeah, you should still catch up on Samurai Flamenco.
I need to. We need a marathon that.
That's a list. That's a thing on the list.
That's on the list.
Well, marathon that.
Nice.
Clannad took precedence, and
That's true.
Well,
That's
so.
as it should be, since it was for the podcast.
And it was totally worth it. We watched lots of that, but other than that, yeah, we just
All right.
watched Kill la Kill.
Kenny, are you?
I'm gonna sneeze. I need a sneeze blanket. A
You mean
tissue.
A tissue.
Somebody help me, please.
I have a tissue.
Oh, ew, it's in your pocket. I changed my mind.
Okay, fine. Don't take my tissue. Be that
Gross.
way. Okay, so let's just get on to the main topic, which is Clannad. We're starting to break it down into the arcs of the show. So basically, the first 4 episodes is sort of what I consider the beginning, before we get into the Fuko arc. And
arc.
as I said earlier, I didn't I don't know. It's not bad on rewatch, and I actually really like in the first episode our introduction to Akio is like pretty much
I
perfect.
love him with
Who?
all my
Oh,
heart.
right.
He's the best.
Old man, right? No,
He
he's
is
the best
the
character in the
best.
show. Hands down, the best
Awesome.
character.
He's awesome.
Yes, he is
No
the
one can
best.
actually beat him.
He's
I
actually.
love your bread.
I still think he's like the funniest in the first episode, but still, he's.
I
Just
think he's the
always
best
funny.
no matter what.
He's always awesome.
Yeah, no, Akio. I mean, the thing I love about him is he's one of the funniest characters in the show for sure. But then
Correction,
he also
is the funniest.
Okay, he is the funniest
Thank you.
character in the show, but he also has like these moments where he's like really serious and like manly, and you can't just be like, oh man.
Operation Toilet Seat? Is that what it was?
Well, not that.
Training toilet.
Training toilet. There we go.
You know, but I don't know. Akio is just amazing, and I do like as far as like how they make Tomoya stand out from like other lead characters in these sorts of shows. You know, like the pick your girl sort of like visual novel-esque anime sort of show. I feel like they do a good job with him in that he's like really kind of a prankster and like.
Oh my god, he's
so
hilarious.
just cynical.
Yeah.
Always.
He's
Especially
just
everyone-
such a jerk to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
He at
So
least gets
funny.
everyone at some point. It's brilliant.
I know.
In the
Everything
game,
he
it's even
does.
more evident. You can just be the worst sort of person.
Oh
The thing is,
really?
everyone believes him. He makes was it Fugo Poka Sunahara's face?
Yeah.
That was like my favorite.
Well, she eventually catches on to him.
After like a minute, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right, but still for a while.
Yeah. So for a while there, she's not doing anything. And I will say, I love Sunahara. The first episode,
favorite.
I didn't really love him. Like he was a little too like high pitched in his
He's
gregarious
obnoxious,
voice.
But he's so
He's the
funny.
best.
No, and I do like him. I'm saying in the first episode, he was kind of like it was just sort of annoying Sunahara. We didn't get like the super funny or the kind of cool side of
Oh,
Sunahara.
first
that
few
we get
episodes doesn't make me
later
like
on.
him. He had the Sanji quality. I love in characters.
What's
He
the
likes
Sanji
ladies.
quality?
I mean, that's pretty much
The
all it
girl
was.
crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, him and the old
likes-
man are my two favorite, hands down.
As in like the
father.
The father.
Yeah, he's called him old
Okay.
man, so that's why I called him.
That's true. I don't know. Any other thoughts on like the first episode, first two episodes?
They're great.
He really hates that town.
Yeah.
Just
There's
seeing, like, just knowing after story and seeing him walk up the hill, I was having emotions. I was like, oh my.
yeah, because that's the thing. Like the first time you watch that, like obviously the whole black and white thing, and where it goes to color when he meets Nagisa, like it's cool, but you don't really get it. But it is referenced several times in after story,
It
and
hurts so
and
much.
it does hurt. It
This
does
is
hurt.
terrifying. It's like the calm before the storm.
It
I know,
really
right?
is.
It kinda
we
is.
You
should
guys are
never
building
watch
this
it.
thing up.
Yeah.
So far, you're the only one who hasn't seen it.
What? You guys have seen it?
No.
No.
Oh, you haven't seen
No,
episode?
they haven't
No,
seen
you
just
After
Oh,
Story.
I'm sorry. I was under the impression
We're
you
gonna
had.
start. We're gonna start on that.
Yeah.
In the near
Well, I
future.
mean, I figure as far as what we do for next time, like in 2 weeks, do after story. That makes the
makes
most sense.
Screams
Yeah.
loudly.
And if we can, I would like to try to do like certain episodes like as a marathon with all of us as a group because they would be.
You don't
good.
want to see me cry.
Basically, yeah.
No, I said you don't want to see me
torture
cry.
us.
Oh. I'll put on a face mask.
They're trying to torture us.
So good king.
But how else am I going to sell your tears on eBay?
Sell Kenny tears on eBay.
You can make at least nothing on those.
At least nothing.
I mean, I could bake them into
I mean,
a cake.
I'll eat it, but I'll openly admit, I don't think I've ever cried at an anime before, and this made me cry twice.
Really?
Yeah.
You haven't seen Anohana though.
The what?
No,
Anohana?
that's true. That
What?
that
No.
that
Okay.
breaks people.
Yeah, and then you did see some sad things like Fate Zero and Psycho Pass.
I
You
didn't
know.
cry though.
Yeah, I guess. I cried. I cried a little with Fate Zero. Like the tears were swelling.
Nah, man, when he died, I was like, that's the most badass way you can die. And I was clapping. I was like, at least you're doing it cool.
I cried a lot. And then
Yeah.
Alex sent me the best wallpaper ever because he's the worst.
Yep.
I told you not to. You sent me all those things with Rider too, and I was like, that hurts, and then kept doing my thing.
Yep. Well, and I
Okay,
saw.
no, I lied. I cried during Dragon Ball Z once.
I saw a nice. I saw a thing like that someone was doing like a top moments in anime or something, and they were including gifs, and they included which episode is it? 21 from Psycho Pass, that character's death.
Shut up.
As a gif, and it was
We
like,
don't need to talk about that.
oh no, the feels.
Ouch.
That was rough.
Ow.
But we get a sequel.
Yes, we do.
Yay.
Yeah, sequel and a movie.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
There's always a movie involved.
Yeah, so that's cool. And I suppose so. Like, yeah, in these first few episodes, we're just getting introduced to all the girls. I think isn't our first encounter with Kyo where she nearly kills him with her stupid Vespa.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She
Yes.
almost runs them over, and then she blames it on him. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was episode 2.
Kyo's one of my
Yeah.
favorites just because like she's actually tsundere to the max. Like she's got this hard outer shell, always beats everyone up, but then she's all blushy on the inside. And
Yeah, I don't know.
especially in her like bonus, because I keep referencing after story and we're not even there, but she's got this cute little bonus story afterwards.
I know.
And,
She is a little like plays Tsundere a little too straight. You know,
she
like
does.
there's
It's very dictionary.
Yeah,
dictionaries.
that's why I didn't. I mean, I guess I
draws
like
them.
her in that at least she's a bit more like actiony and like aggressive and fiery, than some of the
She
other
actually
girls.
tries to pursue what she wants as opposed to just sort of sitting there passively and hoping that, eventually he'll walk by.
Right.
I think
so
my favorite
at
thing is
least
that she
there's
wants to be a kindergarten teacher, and everyone's like, "You're vicious," and she's like, "I like kids."
You're with kids, so you can't really prove it otherwise.
Yeah.
She
Kids
has an
would be
adorable-
definitely safe in her hands, though. No one could ever harm those children.
The dictionaries
Like
would
a
fly
mother
for
bear.
days.
Yeah, well, that would also be true if Tomoyo decided to do that because she just kills everything.
Right, but Tomoyo just...
Actually kills people.
I like Tomoyo, but she's like, out of all the female characters, she's not my favorite. She's probably like second to last favorite.
I don't know.
I don't know, like, for me, she got in the way of my OTP a lot.
Okay,
So,
okay. All right, hold on. Let's go. What's one's your OTP?
okay.
I'll take the tissue now. I can't lie, say
Now he admits it.
I don't care. I can't judge.
Jeez, I didn't know this energy drink would be so bad
It's
for Kenny.
hilarious. So, you
Yeah, it's
know,
pretty funny.
Okay, yes. Who's your OTP?
I love Tomoya and Nagisa very, very much, like, because it's canon, and, like, it wasn't forced upon me. I actually fell in love with them falling in love. So, like, just to see that, are you all right? Okay. I'm so sorry. Because I got to see them, and I was, like, hoping for it, because he was so good for her, and even when he didn't think so, she loves him and believed in him, and, like, he was her support.
yeah.
All right there, friend.
I don't know. As far as like when it comes to the girls question, it's like which one would I choose? I don't know if I would choose Nagisa per se. Like that's a harder question. But as far as who is best for Tomoya, I don't think there's any question that Nagisa is the right
And then
choice.
Tomoya was like, "Oh, hi, I'm here, hi," and I'm like, "Go away."
Yeah, she kind of lives with him for a while. Not even. She like just visits every day and cooks for him and
Like
stuff.
she kind of went over the line of being like helpful. She's like, "I'm gonna come in your house. All
That's
right,
not how it works.
I'm gonna talk to your dad. And you don't like your dad, but I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna be in your house cooking stuff, right?" And he's like, "This is awkward."
You know who's always there for them? Always the best. The one I shipped the hardest was Sunahara in him. I mean, let's be honest. It was even a kind of thing there. That was one of my favorite jokes.
It was a joke in episode 23.
So good.
That was pretty great.
I look forward to that the whole time.
Sunahara's actually in love with me.
Okay. So I don't know who was who. Well, okay, so your OTP was Tomoya Sunahara.
Yeah, 100%.
apparently. Peter, what was your OTP?
We both shared what is her name?
Kotomi.
Kotomi.
That's right.
I'm terrible with names, even
Well-
in English. I apologize for not memorizing Japanese ones.
Well, kind of, because I actually have to disagree with Clara, because if I had my first is Katomi, then my second is Tomoya.
Tomoyo.
Tomoya.
Tomoyo's the girl.
I know. I keep
Yes.
getting
It's a little
It's
confusing.
just one letter
Yeah.
difference. It's confusing, all right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I just call her Seth Roth, then you'll know what I'm talking
That's who Sephiroth was. Okay,
Yeah,
that
she's
makes
Seth
sense.
Yeah, that's who they were.
Well, she
referring
kills
to.
everything in its beautiful flowing silver hair.
about. Yeah.
I don't
You're
know.
not wrong.
The reason I liked her was because she was like, competent and like, smart, and but also nice. Whereas Kyo was like pretty cruel, mean to Okazaki a lot of the time
it's
because she's
funny.
and it was funny, because she's tsundere, but Tomoya was actually genuinely nice to him all the time, and I liked her, episode 24, her like alternate universe episode.
Yeah.
Their
No, I
little
like
scene in the snow, at the end of that episode. It's like, oh, that's
Because the
sweet.
referencing things I don't know.
It's alright, don't worry, you'll see it soon.
Wait, what are their names again?
Tomoya. No, the mom and dad.
Yeah.
Akio and Sanai.
They're also the best. Because
I
they're
They
love
are. That
them.
is a great
course.
relationship.
every
I
moment
love
between
it.
them when she
Relationship.
dies, like when they're listening to Kotomi's music, he's like, no, I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
Because everything they do is
I love the
fantastic.
one. It was in the Fuko arc where he steps on like the knife and just
Yeah.
like poses, and she's like, you gotta keep going, Akio, and he's like, go on without
Everything.
me.
That's why he's my favorite. Okay, that's one scene I do know from the
God, I
after
love
story. That's
that.
like the best one though.
Oh, the
the
dad?
dad thing.
Oh,
'Cause
my
that was
God.
awesome.
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Oh yeah, no. After story, because after story gets into no surprise here, gets into more with Tomoya and Nagisa.
Wait, it
and
does?
thus, yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
And so that's also more with Akio and Sanai, and that is just awesome because Akio is the best character.
Thank
on
you.
the
See, we
show.
agree on these things.
No, I definitely agree with you.
Thank
there.
goodness.
So, I don't know. And then, like, I guess getting into, from the beginning into the Fuko arc, Fuko, like, at first was a little questionable on her because she was obviously sort of like the cutesy moe, little girl kind of character.
Lol, what sort of comedy? Just like everything's so random, and
Right.
it lost a lot of its seriousness during this part.
Right, but as that arc moved on, though, actually, like looking in retrospect and like rewatching the show, like I think this is my third time seeing it now. The Fuko arc is actually one of my favorites.
It's a really good one to start the show with. Definitely, I liked it.
I will say I know that Fuko in the visual novel, you can choose Fuko as one of the romantic interests, but I absolutely
Wait, what, it's a visual novel?
yeah.
It
I'm
started
playing
as
it.
a visual novel.
Yeah, but I do not see that route like happening at all.
Is that kind
No.
of like is a visual novel like a dating sim kind of thing, or?
Yeah, sort of.
It's a pretty PG one, but yeah.
Oh my god, I never heard of
That's
that.
how it started off.
Wow, that makes more sense now. Sorry, continue. Wait, she can be a dating option?
yeah.
Yes.
She's like 6.
No, she's
Tomoya.
she's
Well, I know
the
that,
same
but she's
age
a
as them.
ghost.
Tomoya's age.
Well, I don't know how to do
How
that.
does
Get
that
around
work?
that actually.
Presumably, she wakes up just in time to run into his loving embrace. I haven't done that one.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
haven't
say,
done
I
any
have
of
no
them.
idea how
I've
that
got
works.
like I think I screwed myself out of getting any of them.
Yes, because apparently you went after Katomi and
Missed
Screwed
my
all-
opportunity.
screwed all the other girls, but you can't find Katomi now.
Why won't he go to the library?
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, like watching because I knew what was already happening. Watching him being like, "Oh, look at them," because Kenny was watching it with me. I was showing him the episodes,
I
and
was
he was
there.
getting so into it. I was like, "They're gonna forget her. They're gonna forget her soon." It's starting to show. Like the saddest part for me is when I got in this series like about 4 episodes in, so like right in the middle of the Fugo arc, but it still got me. Like I went back and rewatched them,
Well,
but
Four
I didn't.
episodes in is like the very beginning of the Fuko.
Well, right,
arc.
but I mean, like it was like beginning middle when like they first met her. It was probably like the classroom episode.
Oh, right,
It was
right.
somewhere around there, like
like-
a little bit before then. But so probably the saddest part for me was when like Sanai couldn't see her. Like that's what hurt the most. Like oh my god, because mom.
It is working on it
That was
because
horrible,
when
man.
me and Pete were watching it, our other roommate Ryan was also sitting there. He was watching it with us.
And this was the only arc that he watched with us at the time. Like he
Yes.
hadn't
That's
seen the
adorable.
beginning or anything.
He had not seen the first like 5 episodes, whatever we watched at Alex's house, and he got very invested into the starfish thing by the end of it.
Because it's adorable.
Yeah. Well, and it struck me. It has a lot of similarities with like Anohana with the whole like ghost thing, and her disappearing and blah blah blah. It seems like any story that involves that like memory loss, someone's existence is fading. Like those sorts of stories always really seem to work. So I don't know. I really like the Fuko arc.
loved it.
Going back to episode 4, I think because that's around the time that I really started getting into the show. I remember the joke that really made me laugh was when Tomoya gives Tsunohara the advice on talking to Tomoyo, and he's like doing like those like jumping jacks in the
poses and
hallway.
stuff?
Yeah, and
Ask
like
her out like you're bowling.
yeah, and does the bowling thing
In
like
fact, he does everything he says without questioning it. He's like, "You're totally right. This will work," and
Yes.
it doesn't.
That was
Tomoya
great.
is the most cynical, and that's why I love him so much. Because if I could do that, it would be my favorite
He's just
thing ever.
evil.
At least he tries to teach what Katomi had to be like that. It doesn't work as well.
Yeah, well, and even in the first episode, because all like the dudes in the dorm are like mad at Tsunohara, and he's like, "No,
the
you
rugby
gotta yell it louder, like those big jerk offs or
And he starts
whatever."
kicking the wall. He's like,
And
the
then
rugby team comes up at the weirdest times, and I love it.
Yes.
That's like when, hold on, there's a moment where at one point he tells them to run out the room, and the rugby team's there. I can't remember
The
now.
one with the underwear.
That was it, yeah, when he has his underwear, the heart's underwear. Oh my god, it was awesome.
It was pretty awesome, And I also like in the first episode where our introduction to Tomoyo, just because they show her like beating up the dudes like in slow motion or whatever, the gangsters who come to the school, and then they show it again in real
Everyone's
time.
point of view, yeah.
And it's just like over in an
happens so
instant.
fast.
It's like that's how that actually works.
I love the combo counter.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
Every
I love the
time.
combo counter.
At
And the
one point,
basic
he kicks.
Krillin
He
owns
also
count.
kicks Tsunohara.
Yes.
Like-
Tomoya kicks Tsunohara, and he contributes to the counter.
Yes, he does. And then Tomoyo like kicks him again, and he comes back, and Tsunohara's head is like censored out because he's so bloody.
I'm just glad that when he gets kicked into what the
dust chute?
the chute, yeah. He's like, wouldn't it be
Yeah.
a shame you just lost your grip
And there's sort
just
of
falls.
this odd thing that they do like a couple times, I think, with the combo thing, and also with a couple times in the Fuko arc, where like this yellow text will come on screen,
Yeah,
like
it's
this.
a
achievement
achievement.
unlocked.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard each time because I always have life achievements for myself, and I'm like, they know.
Was that from the visual novel?
I haven't gotten any yet. I have been failing at everything.
So wait, your main character when you're in that is what's
Yeah,
his face, right?
Tomoya.
Tomoya. Yeah.
I'm
So-
I can get with any of them.
any of them, but
All of
you
them?
failed miserably.
So wait, in the show they just decide. How do they decide who he ends up with then?
The visual novel really pushes the main
gotcha.
main love interest.
because
Yeah.
the whole
It's like you should be going for this one, but if you want the others,
Yeah,
they're
that
there.
That makes sense. For
the
alternate
true
endings.
the true ending of the visual novel is with Nagisa.
How can you have a true ending to a visual novel? I thought the
Well,
point
the
was
writer had
choice.
an ending in mind.
Yeah, basically.
Okay,
so
that
they
makes
could
sense.
so they could actually end it basically.
It's kind of like how like Goosebumps had the endings, and there was one notoriously good ending, and then there were a bunch of other ones who died prematurely.
You pretty much died. Yeah. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, so like the actual ending where the,
The
show
more you know.
wraps up. Exactly. But I know you were talking about the Fuko arc. The part I remember particularly being like sad. It was like there was a point where like Tsunohara was like talking with them and he mentions Fuko's name and then, Tomoya's like, "Oh, you just said someone's name. You just said her name, Fuko." And Tsunohara's like trying to remember like as hard as he can, but he just can't. And they just Tomoya and Nagisa just keep telling him like, "You got to remember," and Fuko's like standing right there with the starfish, but he
It
can't
just
see her,
hurts.
and it's
I
like,
mean, you're right though. The
"Aw."
mom was still the saddest because she knew she was there and still knew but couldn't see her, and that was the worst.
It's like Fuku's
yeah.
here, right? She's right here. And it's like, yeah, she's
And-
here, mom.
the old man had no idea.
Yeah.
He was so angry.
Yeah.
Well, he's always angry.
Akio baseball OTP.
Oh, that is it right there.
That is true. He always plays baseball. It's like the solution to every problem in his life.
Isn't like that one show, Fully Cooley? Don't they play baseball once?
They do play baseball a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, I do like that show. I thought I mentioned it.
Okay, that's getting not like I did a whole podcast in that show or anything
I
like
there for
that. Yeah, you were.
Thank
Remember?
goodness. How could I ever
You-
forget Alex?
You kept on ruining it with your Ava references.
It was Alex and the Ava. That's really what it was. I'm gonna buy you an Ava, and you're gonna drive it, and you're gonna love it.
Awesome. I'll
don't
take a
need
giant
the money.
robot.
I mean, yeah, I'll drive any giant robot. I don't
Yeah.
care which.
Yeah.
Technically, it's not a giant robot, but I won't go into it.
Yeah, well, let's not go into the specifics there.
It's actually a giant starfish.
And I love the part where like
Starfish.
Tomoya has like his weird dream about like the future, where like the whole world
that's
has been
my
destroyed.
favorite part.
That was the fact when he woke up. What Tsunohara once? He's like, "We're all cyborgs now. It's the future." He believed him. I was like,
I'm
Yeah.
That's the
actually a
point.
hologram. Wait, I touched you. I'm actually a cyborg. What?
he's brilliant because everyone
Yeah.
just follows his bluff checks are off the charts.
Yeah, well, and I think another great one was where he told Nagisa like, okay, you have to be honest with her. You have to be honest with what she's telling you. When Nagisa and Ro, Kyo's younger sister, were up on the
and
roof.
She thought he was confessing her love.
Yeah, so when she was
Right.
asking her about was it the drama club
Oh my
or
God, that was so
Fuko?
funny
Theater
because
club.
they got so serious, and everyone's like,
Yes.
"Is this happening?"
Tsunohara's like, oh.
And he
wait.
loses it.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
and I love it because like in that Tomoya like has like this little motion where he's like talking to Tsunohara and goes like this, and then Tsunohara like does the same thing back to him.
I love it.
It was great.
I still think my favorite prank though, like hands down, was when he's like, "All right, now I forget what's her name again.
Which one?
Fuka?
One of the twins,
Ro or
Ro,
Kyo?
Kyo.
younger one."
Ro.
Ro, he's like, pretend that you're me and you're a female now, and she gets out of her like daze. Fuko,
Yeah.
she believed it, and I laughed so hard.
Yeah,
She's
it
like,
just falls off sometimes."
Yeah, it comes up sometimes. And then
love it
Kyo,
so much.
and then
What
Kyo
if it
walked
climbs
up.
on me?
Kyo walked up too, and then she's like, "Oh no, there's 3 of them."
That was so good, so good.
Yeah, so,
made the show for me.
Tomoya's pranks are just the best.
He's brilliant. And the thing is, he's deadpan the whole time. He never even laughs at him. It just happens.
Yeah,
He
and,
laughs
love
sometimes.
and so I'm guessing everyone here watched the dub of the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
No, we
No,
watched the
subs, yeah.
subtitles.
Oh, you were watching it.
The English
subbed.
dub sounded funny.
See, I like
I tend
personally.
to agree.
I like the dub. The main characters I think are all pretty well cast. Some of the side characters, like I don't know who played Coco.
I can look that
Fuko's
up. I have to
Fuko's
be
older
sure.
sister, but
Yeah.
she was a little like deadpan. I think sometimes with her delivery. So some of the side characters and like Sentai dubs don't seem to get the best voices. Like some of the girls in the choir club, I remember one of them having a really dumb sounding voice.
Hey guys, I never saw that.
Not quite like that. But the main character is all great. Like I love, I forget his name, as Tomoya, and Nagisa's great as well, and all the main characters.
Like, Clannad's dub was one of the ones that I actually enjoyed, because I'm a real stickler for watching the subtitled versions, but,
But
I think it's better because that's the way it was originally made.
yeah. Well, but then you get things like
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, or Cowboy Bebop, Baccano,
Or Dragon Ball Z.
or Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. So yeah, the whole way that it wraps up the Fuku arc, I thought was pretty strong. Where they like have their little party in the room, and then they fall asleep like on each other's shoulders, and like Fuko's disappeared, and they like can't see her anymore.
Yep, you saw it coming and it was real sad.
That was real sad. And especially when you realize, like, because later on, like, they remember Fuko and she's just standing, like, in the middle
She
of
had just
them.
been following
so,
them the
yeah,
whole
she was
time.
just following them, like, not being able to interact with anyone. Like, that kind of
That
sucks.
was
And
one
then
of the
she'll
two
just
times
pop
I
out of
cried.
nowhere sometimes.
Yeah, she
Yes.
does that from just there
That's
on.
my favorite thing when she just shows up.
No, it
It
makes me
never
sad.
It only works. No, it never works. Yeah, she just takes the thing for herself for the prize machine. Every other time tries to do something and it never happens.
Yeah, she never affects the plot in any way, and they never explain it.
It's
Like,
just awesome.
She just comes in and walks out of the
Wait, what?
the frame.
when
Although,
Fuko just shows up.
And she asks, like,
Oh,
can I go
all
home
right.
now? And everyone's like, yeah. She's like, all right, and then leave. They're like, who was
See, I'm just glad that when they're working on that, like the machine thing, the grab your arm, she looks so ready and just gets the starfish and leaves. And they're like, who is that?
yeah,
I was
what
like,
just
yes.
happened? But at the same time, like, those are all funny, but it's also kind of sad because at the same time, it's like, oh, they don't
have
have
no
like
idea.
any idea.
No, like, they're like, wait, who are you? I feel like we've met. She's like, there's no time for you to remember right now. I've got to help you guys.
Yeah,
Like,
except
she's
not help you.
conscious of it. She knows that they don't remember. And she's like, it's
What was-
okay. Don't worry.
The super starfish heat thing was the best one, though.
That was the one with all the gangsters.
Yeah, that's right. And she's like,
Yes.
"There's starfish everywhere around here.
Yes.
It's not working.
I also love the time where Tomoya, like, she was like poking the starfish, and they put Sunahara's face
what I
down
said
there,
earlier, yeah.
and she like pokes Sunahara's face, sees him, and then just smacks him with the starfish, and like
Oh, I cried.
rainbow impacts are
I
coming
laughed
out.
so hard. I forgot about it.
He's actually the punching bag the entire time. That
He
was
is.
Yep.
so good.
Sunahara is it literally never stops. He is always the show's
Like,
punching
if
bag.
he ever moped
Oh, yeah.
about it, I would get annoyed, but he just doesn't mope about it. He just takes it and then comes back for more. So
Well,
you're
'cause
like,
he's so
oh,
energetic
you're
and
such a
happy.
good sport.
That's why he's
Yeah.
great.
Well, and what's cool about Sunahara is like there are times where he shows that he's like actually more like knowledgeable and like can see things better than other people, because like I remember distinctly in the Kyo episode in After Story, like he immediately was like, "Oh, you like Tomoya, don't you?" And
Oh,
she's
yeah,
like,
like,
"Oh
he
shoot, this
instantly
guy's
called it out.
this guy's
Spoilers.
sharp." You
I
know?
mean, he called Nagisa and Tomoya forever, so he's like, "Are you guys dating?"
Oh, he's
and
been
he's
shipping
like,
it.
"No." So
you know? And like he gets serious when he starts talking about Fuko, like
Right.
doing research on her, finding out she's not really Fuko Isogai, she's Fuko Ibuki, you know. So he actually does get serious, and he has a whole little mini arc in After Story where he gets to be cool.
See, I had a theory too. You know, every time he starts hitting on Nagisa,
Mm-hmm.
I think he's trying to push Tomoya further. Because every time he does it, Tomoya does act up and do it. He's like, I'll go on the picnic instead. And he starts talking like, you should really go on the picnic, dude. Don't be an idiot. That's
Yeah.
far later on, but still.
Yeah,
He helps it. He ships it.
that's kind of true.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
just me.
So yeah, so the Fuko arc wraps up. You know, lots of feels. You know, she says goodbye
the
to her
wedding.
sister.
I
you
cried
know,
so hard the
feels-
first
That's when I
time.
cried.
there were some feels there. Honestly, I got more feels when she had that final goodbye with like Nagisa and Tomoya, and then it cuts to them and they're gone. She's gone, and they're just sitting there crying.
It was, yeah, that one hurt a lot.
It hurts, you know. And of course, you know, like they all forget about Fuko, but yet they realize that it's a starfish. You know.
I'm just glad like Sudahara thought it was a ninja star.
It's funny about that is because everyone thought it was like a star, or Tsunohara thought it was a ninja star. But after a while, you start getting mad, and you're like, "No, it's a starfish."
Yeah.
Understand
You get
it.
defensive.
How do you not see that?
Yeah, well, I love the first time when like Fuko says like, "No, it's a starfish," and Tomoya's just like giving her like this stone face, like, "Wait, what would make you think that this is a starfish?" And they like talks to Nagisa, it's like, "Oh, of course it's a
Yeah, I was
starfish."
gonna say, you're like,
it's like
oh.
what?
What about the starfish versus dango?
Yes.
And how it's like, oh, is this going to be a
Oh
battle?
my
They're like,
God.
no, it can share first place. And,
And
they
they're
just
like, what?
fall.
Yeah, Tomoya does a lot of face plants in
No,
the show,
it's
and
my
it's
favorite
great.
reaction because I expected from him. I'm like, all right, where is he going to just give up on life? Because he just gives up. He's like, all right, cool, I can't reason with this face palm.
Yeah, you know, and I think a big reason why I like the Fuko arc is because it also develops Tomoya and Nagisa like a lot, because they're basically like always together, like working to help Fuko out throughout all this. You know, and then we get into the Katomi arc, and Nagisa is still around in that arc, but she's much less of a focus than she was in the
gets
Fuko arc.
sick.
Well, that's after the Katomi
Oh, yeah,
arc.
but I mean,
But,
still, she's
you
not
know,
around a bunch.
I don't know. And so you Peter and Andrew, you guys obviously like Katomi quite a bit. I'd be
Yes.
curious to hear your theories on that, because honestly, Katomi's down on the list a little bit for me personally. I never really resonated with her too much.
Well, it was because she's like, they grew up together. Like, and then one of the, plot twist comes out that he was like her friend throughout all, high school. And she like practically confesses how much she loves this person, this one person from her childhood that's still alive and that she still likes in this world.
And it's him.
Because everybody else from her childhood is either abandoned her or dead. And this was the only person that was ever nice to her. And like, I just want them together because then she can be happy because like this is the one person that she can like, remember
Talk
a
to.
time that things were better.
I mean, you can
Okay,
still.
no, that reminds. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
go, you can go for it.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you can still argue the fact she's happy because she still gets to hang out with him and be a good friend. Because really, what she wanted was a good friend, and she has a bunch of them now.
Yeah.
No, but she really wants to be with him.
We also just don't like the main love interest. I personally think she's was boring and
she's
uninteresting for the
Nagisa?
majority
I
of
don't
the
have
show.
anything against Nagisa, but
I just didn't
It's
find
out
it
on
very
the table.
I'll admit, like, you become more attached to it in After Story. Like, they do some things that really get you attached to Nagisa. Because I will say, because there's actually, I own both the DVDs, sets for Clannad. And there's this great commentary for Clannad After Story episode 16 with, like, the two main voice actors talking. And they talk about, like, Tomoya and Nagisa's relationship. And I thought they were making a good point in that, like, it's sort of like the traditional relationship. And, like, Nagisa is sort of like the submissive one, which... On the one hand, like I suppose she's a little like too submissive, but at the same time, it's like she is so giving of herself, and she really is like the exact sort of thing that Tomoya needed because he is so like self-loathing and like cynical about the world, and then she's just so pure and like caring and
Nurturing.
self-sacrificing of herself, for his sake, and he sacrifices so much for her sake, That's why I really like their
Sacrificing
relationship.
party.
Yeah.
But like the one thing that bothered me is that Kotomi didn't get a bonus story at the end. She was the one that I wanted to
not.
get a bonus story
She did
with,
not, and she
besides
deserved
like
one.
the twins, because I didn't care much for Tomoyo's. She's not one of my favorite characters, so I was like, okay, cool, you get an ending story. And like while I was sad and it still made me cry, I just didn't have the same attachment as if it would have been a Kotomi story.
True, but at the same time, Kotomi got
Right,
her own
she did,
arc in the
that's
show.
why. But like, I just wanted one for her too.
Are any of the ending stories actually happy?
Yeah,
Okay, good. So they're all
yeah.
sad.
no, they're
They're
pretty happy.
Thank
Bittersweet.
goodness.
Yeah, they usually end happily.
Right, there's drama in the middle of it, but I mean,
So it's super
what-
sadness, and you're like, great
It
job.
would just be boring to watch if there wasn't any drama.
Right.
In the middle, so
You're right.
Exactly. Oh, and something we should probably talk about for Clara and I won't talk about this as much because we know certain things, But what do you guys think about the girl and the robot in the illusionary world?
She
'Cause
dies
that's-
at the end.
because that's
The-
something that's going on throughout the whole.
play and
Right.
Yeah.
that she remembers
'Cause-
from her childhood.
Yeah, because
for
like from
reasons.
literally from episode 1, we're seeing these cuts to this world of lights, and this girl and this robot, and they just sort of slowly reveal the story over the course of the
They
season.
pretty much give up on it during the Fuko arc, though. Like they don't really have any of that during that arc.
Not much. That's true.
I think the lights are every good thing that happens in light forms.
Maybe possible.
Yeah, you mean I'm right?
Maybe
I saw it in your eyes.
Nah.
Yeah, I have no idea other than that. The robot's cool, though.
Yeah, and the animation's always really pretty in that sequence.
Yeah, it's
so
like
Yeah,
3D.
I'll give
I felt bad
Kyoto.
when the other robot that they tried to make that looked super, super creepy didn't come to life. But I was also kind of happy because it looked kind of like a wizard Satan.
Wizard
little bit.
Satan.
I don't know what a
Wizard
wizard
Satan robot?
Satan is, but that's what he called it. So whatever.
You never seen a wizard Satan?
No,
Well, I
I've
did
not
on
seen
that
Wizard
show.
Satan.
Dude, I
can't
got
wait
one.
until we get to talk about it. I just can't wait. We need to
Wizard
do
Satan?
after story like
No
right
after
now.
story.
We need to do it right now.
All right, how does it end? Go.
No.
No.
Oh, I thought you
No,
guys were gonna
don't
say
tell
it.
me. I don't want to
I
know.
won't say.
Yeah, no.
See if I can trick you.
You gotta.
How
you
about
gotta
this? I'm
watch
about
it.
to die. I need to know right now.
I can't tell you.
Oh, I'm gonna die then.
Aw.
Sorry, guys. Bye. I've seen you again.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's all that sugar. Don't drink energy drinks.
Yeah, I'm
kids.
gonna die,
There
guys.
you
I'm
go.
really sorry about that.
So, with the Kotomi arc, though, probably the single funniest thing for me was her violin playing, which
Oh
is
my God.
Oh my god! See,
Just
again,
the worst.
One of the best scenes with
Kotomi.
What are their names again?
The parents.
Yes, the parents when she like dies.
Akio and
I'm
Senai.
really bad with names, even in real life.
You
Okay.
could just call them the parents.
Well, the parents when the lady one dies, and then the guy one
The
holds.
lady one.
I'm so bad with
lady
names.
one of the
Akio and
parents.
When
Senai.
Akio holds her, he's like, "Don't die on me." She's like, "I can't last much longer," and he's just like, "No."
Senai.
I wept.
She doesn't
was
even
great.
notice
Yeah.
though.
And I do love how, like, when the concert happens, like, Kyo basically bullies a bunch of the people from her class, like,
Yeah,
come
literally,
watch.
she's like, "Are these all like the kids that she beat up, or like more or less bullied?" Like, yeah, they're here, and they're like, "We're gonna die if we don't stop. If we actually leave."
Because like they're the people who would like come in tardy or when like clean up, and she's
she
marked because
finds
she's
them.
the class rep. She's got tallies.
Because like I don't really don't understand. Like, I understand they wanted to give Kotomi this concert or whatever, but like they all know that like it was gonna be awful and all these people were gonna hate it.
I thought
you know,
maybe it might be good,
but they did it
nah.
anyways.
Well, the thing though is that apparently only the first one sounded bad, but we never get to hear her play well.
You're not wrong. At least the entire rugby team was there.
Oh wait, so when she gets like the new violin, she actually plays like better.
I don't remember if we actually. I don't know, because it said like, oh, the other pieces were really good. It was just the first one she was really nervous, but we don't actually get to hear those.
I'm sure it was just not as awful.
I remember that.
Not as awful.
I
just
think
mediocre.
she was just being nice.
I don't know. And something that sort of bothers me about Tomoya with like this Kotomi arc is he has like the worst memory in the world. Like, how do you forget this girl? Like, completely forget this girl.
I was wondering
who you like
Charging
had.
into a burning house.
Maybe he
Yeah.
blocked it out because it was kind of traumatizing. Because when you're a kid, you get traumatized from like a fiery house. You're gonna be like, I'm not gonna remember this because it's traumatizing.
But she was like one of his best friends, but he totally forgot about her and didn't even recognize her in the library.
Traumatizing, Alex.
Well, the thing though is that she did lock herself in the house after that and didn't come out to play anymore. So after a while, he was like, I guess I'll just go on with my
I know,
life.
and I
Like, it's
understand.
not an excuse, but that's what happened.
I
could've thought it was
so-
just a dream.
That's what happened, but I don't understand how he forgets that. You know, it's sort of plot
He just gonna
convenience.
point it out though. He says to himself, "Man, how did I forget that?" I'm like, "You're right."
Because
How
he
did you
he does it
forget that?
again in with something that happens in After Story. Where it's like, oh yeah, now I remember this whole thing. Now that you jogged my memory,
Plot
so
convenience.
he just is really really bad with memory. That's my
It's
my
for
theory.
emotional effect.
It is.
And it hurts.
It does hurt
It hurts a lot more in After Story.
Why you guys are making this sound so awful?
because it is.
Because I
But
thought
it's
Clannad was
it's
sad.
So
No,
good.
why
Why would we watch something so
Clannad,
sad?
Clannad is happy sad. After Story is rip your heart out and watch you stare at it sad.
Why would we
This
watch
sounds like
that?
the Frieza saga versus the Cell saga. If we're gonna go to my Dragon Ball Z analogy,
Because
which I
it's
go to
also
for
just
everything.
Stupidly well written, apparently. So
What, Dragon Ball or
no,
Clannad?
Dragon Ball Z?
After Story.
After
no, it's
Story
not.
is so
Dragon Ball Z.
good.
Just, no.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking
no.
forward to it.
I'm sorry I just keep bringing it up, but it's my
Yeah.
favorite
No,
everything.
the
I'll
first
watch it all tomorrow.
get through the first 8 episodes of After Story. From episode 9 onwards, that's where the show really becomes like this masterpiece.
Is it still like 24 episodes like the
yeah,
first?
It's
like
25
the first
actually.
8 ones are
Whoa.
just kind of funsy things.
It's more
Yeah.
at the high school. Basically, episode 9, they graduate, and that's where the After Story really begins.
So this
Right.
just continues Clannad for the first like 9. I mean, the whole thing does, but it's still like directly
Yeah,
after it ends.
yeah, it's going to, like, there's an arc for Sunahara, and there's an arc for a couple other minor characters.
Cool.
You know, and I read something. You know how Kotomi keeps on saying this like spiel with today I saw. What
It
does she
was
say?
the day before yesterday I saw a rabbit, yesterday a deer, and today I saw you.
Yeah, apparently it's a reference to like some book about time travel. Like I was researching it up, but I really don't quite get the reference because apparently like in the book itself, it's never really explained like what the saying means. That's kind of the whole point of the book. And so then they just reference it in Clannad, and it's like, okay, that's cool, but I don't really get what you're trying to say here. Meh, I don't know. Because for me, with the Kotomi arc, like I didn't dislike her character, and I like those episodes. But the last episode, where like everything was resolved, like, and she opens up the briefcase, you know, and it's got the teddy bear inside. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, the teddy bear's inside, like that's sweet, you know. But then like there's this letter from her parents too, and like the man in the briefcase, you know, with the big black suit is like saying how like, you know, this letter, you know, is more important than that super important, you know, thesis that they were supposedly working on. Like, you know, no words of humankind were ever as moving or as true as these words were, you know. And then they play this montage of the briefcase going across, you know, the country with the sad music, and it's like it was a little too much for me.
He was trying to make up for the fact that he's the worst person ever. You go to a 5-year-old girl's house and say, okay, your parents died in a plane crash, but I really need this paper. And then she slams the door in his face. And then he just decides to walk away. Because why would she be traumatized from knowing that and being informed that her parents would be, you know, never coming back or anything? Why would I look into that?
I mean, it's
and
kinda
then he sees the house on fire. He's like, no, the paper might burn.
I mean, it's kind of awkward for him because you're told like this girl you don't really know. You have to go tell her parents are dead, then get something from them.
But it's her godfather.
Oh right, wasn't that? God, never mind.
yeah,
I guess
she,
that's
I
right.
he
guess
was her
he's just the
godfather.
worst.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, that is right.
Because the homework teacher's like, yeah, your godfather's here, and she was
That's
like,
a good point. So
"Eh."
does he like, he's not at her house, obviously. So does she literally like, you know,
He was
live
part of
there
the-
by herself, like for her
She-
whole life?
That's why she knows how to cook
had
so
a
good.
nanny at one point, but we never saw her. 'Cause she's like, the day of my birthday, my housekeeper was also sick, but she had set up the food earlier the day, so
Oh, okay.
it was all there. But like probably raised her, but it's like kind of backstory on important stuff that we didn't need to see. So,
Right.
Thank goodness.
And
but
also,
now she pretty much lives by herself.
also an odd thing for me with Kotomi, like remember the part where like there was like a bus crash and they thought that Ro was on that bus and they'll
That
run
broke
down there.
my heart. Okay,
But
that just
Kotomi,
she freak
yeah,
out so much about
Kotomi
that?
breaks down and starts crying, but I guess it's a reference to like her
Just the
parents
crash.
Yeah,
dying.
it's the crash.
she thought
And
she lost someone important again.
Yeah.
In another crash.
but she didn't though. Like
But she didn't know. She didn't see it at the time though.
But
She was
they
having a
got
mental
there
break.
and it was like, oh, Ro was like standing there and she's like, no, I'm okay. And then Kotomi had the breakdown.
But
so it was like
Kotomi
she
wasn't
knew.
with them though. She came afterwards. She was off to the side.
Are you
She
sure?
was. She
Yeah,
was
because-
significantly away from the rest of the group.
And then they all ran over to her and like, oh, to me. And she was like, nope, mental breakdown.
Okay, I don't know. I never got the justification quite for that level of a breakdown because she just like collapses and
Like
starts
when I first saw it, it
crying.
actually just shocked me, and I just stared like as the episode ended. I just sat there on my couch going, "Oh," just staring for like 10 minutes, just taking that in because it was just so shocking to me because I didn't expect her to have that breakdown.
Yeah, that's intense.
I was like, "Baby."
All right, so I don't know.
Baby.
Was I the only one who thought that the end of the Katomi arc was a little too sappy?
It was a little sappy.
It
was
maybe
a
a
little
little
sad,
made me
bit,
cry.
but
I still
I
cried.
liked it.
I liked it a lot.
The teddy bear was
Okay.
awesome. I was hoping it'd be that, and I'm like, that was a teddy bear.
See, I personally, I would have been fine. Like, if it was the teddy bear and she's like, "Oh, that's sweet," hug. The letter and then the montage of the briefcase is what
Yeah.
pushed
I
over
think
the
the
edge.
briefcase is what really did it.
The briefcase was a little bit on the much side. I'll
that
give you
was
that,
some
but
serious icing on that cake.
Icing on that cake.
A lot of icing. Too much extra.
Okay.
It's not good.
So then we sort of get to this arc that's sort of hard to. It's basically like this sort of in between arc, where like Kyo and Tomoyo start going after Tomoyo more, and have this whole thing with like the conflict with the choir club, and they have the basketball game and all that stuff. And the basketball game episode actually was like really good.
Yeah, it
That's
was
really
really
interesting.
Because it was intense, and then of course Tomoya
Like circuses.
makes the shot, that wins the day, even though he's got a bad
Because
shoulder.
Nagisa-
Yes. Oh.
She gave him the power to do it. It was awesome.
Yeah. Although, and Jeremy was making the point because he was watching like the Tomoyo episode actually with me, but just in general, like this school is super strict. Like, they have to go through so many pains, just to get this stupid drama club started up again. There's so many rules, and like the student council doesn't seem to give a crap about them.
Just being
Yeah, just because they're
unnecessarily
actually the
difficult.
worst.
Yeah, and then in the
Well, that's why
Tomoyo.
Tomoyo had to get on there.
Right, but then in the Tomoyo episode, like when Tomoya starts dating her, they're like, "Oh, well, you're dragging down the student body president because you're a delinquent, and you're gonna ruin her image, and she
I
needs
know.
to be
Well,
perfect."
that's-
Some
that's
choice
after
words for
story.
that gentleman that I'm not allowed to repeat.
That's
These-
after story.
these this like student council president is apparently like this huge thing in Japan because like
actually
here
is,
it's
like-
a pat on the head. That's nice, sweetie, and then nobody cares because
Oh
you
yeah,
have
it's
no
like
real power.
valedictorian or what is it?
Salutatorian.
Yeah, that.
Salutatorian.
But like,
those are pats on your head, but it
right,
doesn't
but
really
like in
matter.
Japan, that kind of thing is like really, really good.
They actually have a say.
So student councils are actually kind of a big deal in
Right,
Japan.
yeah, it's almost like being head of a company, pretty much.
They
Like,
can do real things.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, here it's
They
like,
have,
I
like,
want more
actual
soda machines.
power,
Like, that's
apparently.
cute.
Yeah. And fun thing is, or odd thing, I guess, is like I remember when I was first watching the show, this sort of in between arc, I honestly was getting a little mad at the show because that's where it felt the most like a visual novel for me because it's like, Kyo's going after
Oh my God,
Tomoya
yes.
and Tomoyo's going after him, and Ro kind of is too, and even Katomi like comes there and gives him the food that one day, when like
they
all
all
of
give
them
him
big
food.
food.
And then
Oh my
Fuko.
god.
And Fuko too, yeah.
This has so many girls just tripping over themselves just to be with him.
Right.
Like, I
Because
don't
he's
get
a delinquent.
So-
That's attractive.
Right. So yeah. So I sort of didn't like it like my first time watching through because I felt like, oh, this is just so visual novelty, But actually on rewatching it, I actually kind of liked it because there's several moments where like you see him like sitting in his the classroom, like gazing out the window, or like when he goes to the drama club room, and it's empty, and he goes there and writes Nagisa's name on the chalkboard, and it's like actually the absence of Nagisa, like her being sick. Really, like her absence and the fact that all these other girls are going after him sort of shows that like Nagisa really is the only one for him because he's like missing her so bad when she's gone.
What I'm really sad about is that we don't have those cool fortune things in America. Like, we don't have fun stuff like that. We don't just have arcades. Like, it's really hard to find an arcade, especially like in my hometown. I mean, I know
know.
there's one near your hometown.
I love it.
But, like-
I've actually never been to that thing.
Dude, we went there. What are you talking about?
I
Arcade
never went with
Legacy.
you guys. I lost my
Arcade
wallet, like,
Legacy. You were there, weren't you?
No,
I like
I'm so
fortune
sorry.
telling
go
things,
with
but I
you guys
never
sometime.
do them
Yeah,
because
too.
there's just a waste of money.
Yeah, I've tried to do one once. It's not very nice.
Yeah, I did like. I think it's in that arc where Ro has this nice line about like how she doesn't really believe in fortune telling because like that means your future is set in stone, and she doesn't want that. She likes to think that all possibilities are open.
Like, that was the one like coaching me. It's like, I don't think you're going to make friends. And Tomoya's like, why would you say that?
Yeah, I was going to say, that was the
You're
worst.
ruining everything.
No, see, this show actually made me realize, though, because I've had this pointed out, and it's really obvious, but watching where he sat, every main character does sit at that one spot. Like, that hammered it in. I'm like, this show did it, too. Every show
No,
does it.
every show does
Well, it's
it.
because of animation, so.
Well, that and like there's a whole thing about like the golden section being in the right side of the frame. That's a whole film thing.
That makes more sense now.
Yeah, but
Then it's so much easier to just draw one or two
Damages.
people than the entire class.
That makes sense.
I was trying to remember. There was something I was going to say about what was just going on. Oh, Ro. What are people's sort of thoughts on Ro? Because like, I guess I sort of like her, but I sort of view her as like a poor man's Nagisa because she's sort of similar in how she's like super nice all the time, but she doesn't have.
We
Well, that's
ended
really
up
mean to say. She
Breaking
has nothing
that
but good
down
things to say
because
about
after
you.
the Kotomi arc, Kotomi just kind of goes away from the show, and she just shows up in the background in some episodes. It says like 1 to 2 lines, and then
Yeah.
it's over. So really, at that point, he had like 4 options, and I'm like, at this point, you're right, it's very visual novel-esque, but your options are there's the 2 very headstrong, confident women, and Kyo and
Tomoyo.
Tomoya.
See, but the reason why they're both confident and headstrong, but Tomoyo is actually like genuinely really nice, whereas Kyo
There's slight
acts like a
variations
jerk.
on the same role.
Kyo acts like a jerk to Tomoyo, but then obviously on the inside, like really gushes over him. I did like that one episode where like
Gosh,
Tomoya
good
I think he gets his fortune told by what's her name?
Oh, the friend thing?
Yeah, the girl. What's the name of the girl in the library?
Oh my god.
The mini library.
Ooh, I can look
Lady
it
in the
up.
Library.
TV tropes.
Masai.
Rescue.
Yukine.
Yukine, sorry.
Yukine Miyazawa.
Yeah.
Because she tells her his like fortune, that you're gonna like have a romantic encounter with a girl or whatever, and then he gets locked in the
Yeah,
storage
That was
room.
one of my favorite episodes. I was waiting for
And when he
that.
takes his shirt off and then does this thing, it just happens. I was like, the timing
And,
was
and she's,
perfect.
and she's all like, well, I mean, I guess, but
Yeah,
I mean, I understand that you'll want to do this, but
And then they left like, we'll never
Yes.
speak of this again.
Yeah, all
That
the
was so brilliant.
the dialogue there was just all going towards like, oh man, misunderstandings. Gotta love them.
just bad.
And it was completely on her part too, which is what made it
Yes.
so funny. He's like, "Wait, what?
just sitting
No,
there like, no,
Oh,
okay.
no." She's like, "I guess we'll do it," and he's like, "What?"
At least we know fortunes are real in
what?
that show.
Yeah, they kind of are, because he gets his fortune told again in the Nagisa arc, and he goes outside because she's like, oh, the first girl that you see, you're gonna
Who
fall in love
talks
with or
to.
whatever. You talk to, who talks to you is gonna be like your love interest. And he goes outside, and Fuko's waiting there for him, and he's like,
nope.
"Shh." And I feel like I really don't want to get in romantic anything with
There's
you.
a bear around here. You have to pretend you're a zombie.
And it worked so
And she
well.
does like the thriller
Yeah,
dance
she does
before
the
she
thriller
walks
dance.
off.
I looked at
goes
that, and
off.
I'm like,
So
that's the
cute.
thriller dance.
Okay, no. In my Japanese textbook, Michael Jackson is in almost every single example problem ever. Like he
Really?
is an option somewhere.
It's always his picture
Like
too.
him, Madonna. I don't know what Japan has with
great.
Michael Jackson, but he is popular.
Oliver French was Brad Pitt.
Real quick, Clara, think of a Japanese phrase to tell our listeners for the Clara teaches Japanese.
How do you say rule?
Ururu. No, okay. We were watching Panty and Saki earlier today, and they kept saying Ururus, and I'm like, stop. But no, it's a great show. Let me think.
Okay, you could come back
I'll think
to
of
it.
something.
What's starfish?
All right,
I don't remember.
I don't either.
yeah, but I really like the ending of this little mini arc though, because basically like Nagisa comes back to school and Tomoya like has this tennis match because she's been like challenging all of these clubs to like increase her
style.
popularity, so
Kill
she
a
can
kill style.
right, so she can become president of the school, and then she has this tennis match and like Nagisa's just there like sitting next to Tomoya, and I think. She walks up to him and is like, oh, who are you again? I forget. And I'm like, oh, I'm Nagisa. I'm the one who's starting up the drama club. And she sort of gets this look on her face and she's like, oh,
She knows.
so that's how it is.
She knows.
She also figures. Well, then also when she hits Nagisa in the face, and
Well, the other guy does, not her.
well, yeah, the other guy does, and then
He reaches, and Tomoya's like, nope.
no,
Yeah,
no,
Tomoya
and then
like,
he's like taking her, and she just kind of looks at him like,
that's what, like,
yeah,
everyone
yeah,
knows
okay,
at that
I get
point.
it.
Yeah, and Kyo and Rose start crying, and I don't know, that was a really sweet moment for me because it's like this song is playing in the background.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, it's finally the OTP is finally coming true. Like,
And
Like, I
everybody
felt
knows.
really bad
Everybody
because I feel
knows.
like the whole time Ryo's like, I really don't have a chance with him, but I don't want to fail my sister. And her sister's like, I'm going to make this happen because I care and I'm really overconfident and I like him too, but I'm not going to say it out loud. And so it all happens. She's like, it's okay, sis. I'm really sorry. I
Yeah.
failed you. And she's like, no, I'm actually the worst. And they start crying. I'm like,
yeah,
you guys.
because it was like
guys.
Kyo supposedly like helping Ro the whole time, but in reality, like Ro knew Kyo had a thing for Tomoya, and she just sort of says it out there, and then they all cry.
It
It
all
was
hurts.
awkward for everyone.
Pretty much. And then we get into the last 4 episodes, which is the Nagisa arc, and honestly,
Hello,
one of
darkness, my old
one of
friend.
my favorite arcs because we get more with them interacting together, more with Sanai and Akio, which is always great.
Rainbow bread.
And you get the really sweet scene, I think, where he keeps on trying to avoid the teacher who wants to talk with him and his dad like about his future, and she like drags him and is like, usually Nagisa's like kind of like
Submissive,
yeah. But
quiet.
this
Oh,
time
man,
she's
she
like,
gets him.
Oh
she's
no, to turn
dragging
to
him along.
Nagisa is my favorite everything.
It's so cute. I
She
love
wants
it.
it and goes home. She's like, oh my gosh, someone actually tamed what's his face.
Yeah, that teacher's kind of being a jerk, like, oh, I can't believe you're with him, sort of thing. They don't seem to have a very high
Well,
opinion of
that
Tomoya.
Tomoya's been a little punk since the beginning.
He
so
skips
he's-
classes every day.
Like even before Sunahara showed up, he just got into fights constantly. He and Sunahara met because they were both in a fight, and that's how they became friends. But they were punks before this.
Oh, yeah,
and
they're
then they just kind
delinquents.
of started slacking. But they were actually like terrible.
But
Yeah.
stylish punks.
Yeah, and
Then
this
they
is
became BFFs.
where we get into a little bit of his relationship with his dad. What do you guys think of that? Because
It's so uncomfortable for me.
It's really
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, because the thing is, you kind of feel bad for the dad, but he also, hindered him for life.
Yeah.
So,
No,
I mean,
but it's more than it's not just Tomoya being mean. It's okay. So my mom died, and then
My
you
dad's a
stabbed
drunk.
me in the shoulder, and then you decided to stop being my parent in any way,
Yeah.
in any way. And you sort of washed your hands of me so that even if something bad happened, it wasn't your fault. And if something good happened,
drinks a lot, too.
whatever.
yeah, it doesn't go to work all the
Alcohol.
time.
Yeah,
Like
actually
even
the-
he was
his
telling the
manager
guys
job.
like Tomoya's just Tomoya. I can't do anything, and he's like, "Thanks, Dad."
Yeah, it's like he wants him to care, but the dad's trying to be. I guess the dad probably sees it as he's just trying to be like, no, I'm not going to try to control Tomoya's life. I'm just going to let him, live his own thing. But it seems like Tomoya actually wants his dad to like put his foot down and care, and the fact that he doesn't actually hurts
Parent.
Tomoya more.
And it's like
Yeah.
his dad's so passive. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing in here? Do you want me to help?" And Tomoya's like, "Stop! You're
Yeah.
making me really
'Cause
uncomfortable. Stop!"
It was really weird in the second episode where like Tomoya has like a freak out with the dad, like pounds the wall, and I didn't quite, at the time you didn't really understand their relationship, so it was like, wow, you're kind of overreacting. But then you hear, oh yeah, my dad ruined my shoulder, and things have been really awkward between us since then. It's like, oh, well,
Yeah, I can
that's why.
imagine.
And
Like it would remind me of my friend actually in high school. Like she and her parents fought all the time, and then like it would be awkward because I'd be sitting there hearing them screaming at each other. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stay here, Kate. And then she'd throw him off to her room, and I'd follow. And like 2 minutes later, her mom would come in and try to be super nice about it. I'm like, no, too soon, go away. So that's what made me instantly think about it, which made it already really uncomfortable for me. And I already knew about it when I was rewatching it with you, so I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's pretty awkward.
all right, yeah. So, and I just love how, Nagisa sees this whole interaction with the dad and the teacher, and Tomoya's telling her, oh, you know about my dad, blah, 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 blah. And then she's like, why don't you come live with me for a while? And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
she's so nice. And
And
it's,
her dad was like, what are you doing here? And he's like, wait.
yeah. And
Did she not tell them?
It does make
Oh.
it does make me a little sad though when he's like, he's leaving and the dad's like sitting in his drunk corner or whatever, and he's going to the door and then
The drunk
he's-
corner?
Yes, the
Sorry,
drunk
I like that
corner.
name, the
And
You
drunk
hear
corner.
the TV turn off.
Yeah, and then you hear the TV turn off and the dad's there and he's like, where are you going? Oh, I'm just going over to friends. That's an awfully big bag, and you could sort of he knows what's going on and he's just like
He
kind of
doesn't
sad
want to
about
say
it.
it first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just sad.
Awkward.
but I think it was a good decision.
Yeah, and there was a because I was rewatching the Nagisa arc the other day. There's a point where like he's setting up like all of his stuff, like his bed, or Nagisa's helping him like set up in his little room there. And there's a really nice piano version of the Dango song playing, and I was like really feeling some feels, like oh man,
Dango song.
because the Dango song is so
How's
so
that go
good.
again, Alex?
You don't want to hear me sing.
You almost did it, though.
I almost did.
I thought you would.
I know the lyrics pretty good, but I'm not going to sing it
Pretty
because
good.
I would corrupt it.
But see, I mean, even going with the dad thing later on, like Nagisa was right in the fact, she's like, when you guys are actually distanced from each other, you will maybe start to miss each other. And he actually does at one point when he's laying down to go to bed, think like, I wonder how the old man or my dad's doing.
Yeah, and I thought it was nice, after the drama play thing, and the dad comes there and Tomoya just sort of says like, don't drink too much, all right?
Yeah. He
And
still cares, obviously, it's his dad, but it's still real awk.
it's real awesome, And then and we get the whole bit where Akio talks about Nagisa's past because she has this whole thing like, I know they're hiding something from me and I know it's my fault, blah, blah, blah. And he, after going through several misadventures where he's trying to keep it a secret from Sanai and then just takes a cup of tea from Sanai.
He actually has like the worst timing and the ability to be like subtle and like
Well, he's a
at
theater
all.
person.
It makes me
Oh, right.
Akio. He's
Yeah.
like, we're not going to talk about Sanai, and she's like, you think my bread's terrible, don't you?
Oh my God, he does
you
this
don't
so
want
much.
me here.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I love your bread.
It's
Just every time.
He does
Like,
this, and it
every
never gets old.
it's one of those jokes I sort of equate it to like the Ed is short jokes from Fullmetal Alchemist, where like they just repeat basically the same joke over and over again, and it shouldn't be funny, but it is. And that's the same in this. The I love your bread joke always makes me laugh, even though they basically repeat the same sort of situation over and
They
over.
space it out a bit. It's not every episode.
It's not every episode, and they do switch it up a little bit. There's one in one of the alternate after story episodes where he like shoves a crap ton of like the bread
Like
into his
actually
mouth,
the entire tray.
and it's like his face gets really deformed, and it's
He
beautiful.
has the mouth of a god.
basically.
I mean, he is pretty much a god, though. He's extremely handsome and talented.
But yeah, and then Nagisa's whole backstory, and I really like, as far as like, because there are a few things with Clannad, and especially in After Story, that like actually hit me like real
You
world
get to
thinking about my
actually
life.
See, like in the first part of it, you don't see the entirety of what happened, but in After you see what exactly happened the entirety of that day when Nagisa got sick for the first time and why she's still been so weak. But like you only see a summarized version.
Yeah, but.
So you don't get to see the entire pain
But
yet.
Clannad connected with me with a few things as far as like real life, like, oh man, I'm feeling that, theme strongly. And one of them was this whole like thing how Akio and Sanai were living their dreams of their careers, him being an actor, her being like a teacher. And they said, like, I know some people can balance their careers and their child, but we just couldn't, and so that Nagisa, goes out there and almost dies, and they had to come to this choice, and they basically sacrifice their career dreams in order to raise their child. And I thought that was
And
like
they're
a
the
really,
best parents ever for it.
basically, yeah,
And then like,
it's
the
really
best part is
sweet.
that they don't regret it. And if that's what I really like is that it's so optimistic. They're like, yes, we had to give up our like crazy dream, but we're living our parent dream now. We get to see our daughter
Yeah.
grow up and be healthy and be alive, and we're so grateful for that. Like it was a huge wake up call for them.
Yeah, and the most touching moment in the entire show when her dad comes in. I mean, we're going to talk about that soon, I know, but
Yeah.
still.
Well, yeah, because when I was watching the show for the first time, as soon as they brought up like this whole dream thing, I'm just like, okay, Akio's gonna say you are our dream. Akio's gonna say you are our dream. I was just waiting for it, and,
And
it
when he
finally
does,
got
oh
it.
my god, that was so good.
My heart.
It was so good. Yes,
It's what I needed. It was so nice.
because like I don't know, that stuff of like where Tomoya comes in, like after going to the bathroom, or whatever, and sees Nagisa sitting there with like all the photos, and she's like crying, like Dad used to be an actor, like he was
I mean,
so
the thing is,
good.
you knew it was going to happen. When she woke up, I'm like, well, here it comes. And she didn't know. I was like, oh
Oh, I better
boy.
go to the shed and find a flashlight.
I was
I'm
like,
like,
she's going to knock
You know.
over everything. Haha. Oh, she did.
And then she's like all depressed like throughout the whole day, and then eventually finds the video of Akio, when
makes
he
it
was
so much
a high schooler, and he's
So
just
much
like
worse.
talking about how much he loved being an actor, and
the
it's just like,
fear.
oh, the feels. It's just hitting harder and harder.
He was a good actor, though. They weren't wrong.
He was.
Yeah, no, he
He's
was.
a definite flair for the dramatic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
like you see it in his everyday life.
That's the best part, though.
yeah.
Like
It
they
totally
actually
makes
kind of
sense.
make it really obvious, but how like over dramatic he is. Like when he stabs himself, when Sanai dies, like you kind of get like he is an actor. He actually is.
And he's so good at it. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I also love how the jokes that they make with basically how Nagisa is like really bad at this whole like play thing, because not only has she never seen a play, but she didn't even
Yeah,
know
when she drops that bomb, he's like, what?
she didn't even know the name of the play that she wanted to do. The one about the girl in the world that has ended. So like every time she says stuff like this, and Tomoya's like, and our leader drops another bombshell on us. It's like, what is up with you? Although it's telling that both Nagisa and Tomoya have this vague recollection of the girl in the illusionary world, but they can't find it anywhere in any books. They don't know where it's from, what it's based on. So just things to think about.
I can't wait.
But and so I was definitely feeling some feels there when Nagisa goes up on the stage, and she's like crying, out there in front of all those people, and like Kyo's telling Tomoya to like lower the curtain, and he can't, and then Akio comes in and gives his whole speech.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't think she'd actually cry for that long. I was actually pretty impressed. I'm like, oh, this is actually really bad. But when her dad came in, I was like, then in comes Nanners, and everything was good.
Yes. So when he was like saying like, you are our dream, you've got to, if you don't do this now, all of our dreams are for nothing, and Tomoya comes down and says something similar.
And the mom stands up, and everything's great.
Yeah, and she does her performance, and it's beautiful, and it cuts between that and like the actual girl in the illusionary world, with the robot and everything. And apparently they don't show it, but apparently she ended it by singing the dango song.
Yeah, I know. He's like, I think he kind of like took them away from that when he sang the dango song. She's like, but I really wanted to. He's like, well, it's good, but a little weird of a choice. I like
Yeah,
it, though.
Tomoya never really likes the dango song.
Oh, no, he makes it
until
obvious.
the very end. But and then we get this nice little montage of like them going out on a date, to like this music, and then into the classroom with the beautiful sunset, this nice little confession scene. And it's not like I personally like really like, for example, the confession scene in Toradora. Like I actually like that more than the one in Clannad.
Dude, he asked to make sandwiches with him and also be his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she says yes.
Yeah, but
Spoiler!
Would it
No,
be
she
okay
says it in
if
such a a stupid hey, wouldn't it be funny if we woke up tomorrow and we're like boyfriend and girlfriend?
That's so romantic. I don't know what you're talking
Like,
about.
that's
Oh,
not?
I'm like, that's stupid.
He's never done this before. He's never
Yeah.
had these kind of feelings.
I don't understand that because he's just tripping over girls apparently.
Well, this is a new thing
He
for him.
doesn't like them though.
what? They
like
didn't
that.
appear before this year.
You just wake up in a dating sim. It's weird, all right?
Basically.
wow.
You just wake
Whoa.
up one day and
I never thought
suddenly
about
everyone's in
girls.
love with me.
Look at all these ladies. And he's
Yeah.
I mean, like when he was in the thing with Kyo, he's like, "This is awkward. This actually happened," and he
Yeah.
wasn't like, "Yes." He was like, "Oh."
Yeah, that's the thing. He's has this reputation as a delinquent, but really he's so like shy and goody two shoes. Yeah, awkward.
He's only a delinquent because he just doesn't go to class.
Basically.
and
He
gets in
doesn't-
fights.
skip it.
And he
But, treats
treats people with no respect.
yeah.
Because it's hilarious.
So yeah, Nagisa, writes both their names up there on the chalkboard, and he like says like, "Will you go out on a, will you go out with me?" And like, I do love how they like go on like this extreme close up on both their faces, and Nagisa doesn't even say anything, but she just sort of like starts crying and smiles. And we see the two of them with the sunset, going on between them. It's very pretty. Kyoto animation, of course. Of course, the show looks beautiful.
Everything about this show is beautiful.
So we got that nice ending, and then the two sort of extra episodes. 23 I think is actually really hilarious with like May trying to get them to go on this date and like
I didn't see those in my trouble.
a little bit,
I was told I didn't need to see those.
but they're sort of extra, so you're not like missing any real big
Pretty
story
much,
thing.
May tries to make them go on this perfect date, but Nagisa's so awkward about it because she doesn't know how to do this. So it just is just weird for
It's
everyone.
really
May.
bad.
Sunahara's little sister.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah, she still exists.
I will say that I get that Tomoya's like awkward with girls and everything, but him and Nagisa are like extremely awkward. Like they don't even want to hold hands, much less even like kiss or whatever, So it gets like it does get to be a little silly because I think even Sunahara says like, "What are you, like fourth graders?"
Yeah.
Like,
kind of makes
it's-
fun of him.
The one thing I like but also dislike is that you actually never see them kiss like ever.
Yeah,
I think maybe once.
well, not in the anime. You don't see it. They do in the visual novel. I know that for a fact.
Because I know in like the bonus stuff they kiss sometimes.
But
like,
I
don't
will
know.
say after
cute, but I want the kiss.
but after story makes them holding hands look like the most romantic thing in the world.
It's beautiful. It's so innocent and adorable, and I love
it's
it.
great. Yeah.
Can I just like pause for a second and realize the theme of this podcast is wait for after story? Like that's what it is. That's the theme.
It really is.
It's a
because
precursor.
that's the thing. Like the show is basically like the setup. I mean, I
For
live
the
Greatest thing
most
ever.
cry-worthy thing ever.
basically, yeah.
Well, good thing I'm giving up on life after this.
I get a ball.
I mean, pretty literally, like Clannad season 1, and then the first 8 episodes of After Story is like the high school stuff. Like that's all basically set up, and then episodes 9 through 22 are
The
After
real
Story, and
world.
that's like the real
I'm gonna
story.
have a ball because I'm crying.
Where they
All
all
right, this
get
is gonna be
boring
good.
desk jobs and are uncontent with their lives.
A little bit. And I also love how they pulled the joke again with Sunahara, where like the dorm room lady is like, oh, there's a really cute girl here to see you, and he like jumps out like, hey there, and it's like May, and he just flops down.
but
It's
he
like,
really wants his sister's attention though, and it's adorable. He's like, I want to be cool for you.
Because
Yeah, when
every
she comes
time the
against-
sister comes to town, she's just like, "Hey, I need you to go outside. I need to talk to Ozataki."
Yeah, when she gets to Moya, she's like, "You're coming for dinner. Have a good night." And he's like, "What?"
yeah, he just like starts crying in his room.
Oh man.
And Tomoya, misunderstanding May and like having this fantasy of what is it? Is it it's Sunahara and May, and then it's Sunahara and Okazaki, like in that green
I'm
field
gonna
with
have
the
to show you
flowers.
these because it's actually beautiful.
Because if you ship those two, then you'd
It's
have to watch that.
hilarious.
Just that whole interaction they had was so perfect. I need him, but you don't. He doesn't want that.
Yeah.
I laugh so hard.
Yeah. So that I don't know. That episode is just really funny. I think, and it's cute, because
Thanks.
they have like a nice little moment at the end, where he takes Nagisa like off to, I forget what they're gonna go do.
A Ferris wheel.
Nah, it's not that. I don't know.
Swimming.
Something, but they're being all cutesy,
Shark bait.
together, and to go on like an actual date after May's failed date, I think it is. And then we sort of talked about the Tomoyo episode. Personally, I really enjoyed that episode. Like, I think that scene near the end where like they're talking in the snow, and Tomoyo says like, I don't care, where my career takes me, what heights it takes me to. I just want to be by your side. It's like, oh, it's cute, because she basically like gives up like all her time with Tomoya in high school, for the sake of the for the sake of the student council, because of what those jerks say to Tomoya and all that. So I don't know. That was feelsy for me. So overall thoughts about the show. Personally, I think the first season of Clannad is very good. The comedy throughout is really pretty great. Like I laughed so much watching the show, and
Brilliant.
there are moments where the show it definitely sort of goes into some high school romance comedy cliches that you've seen in other anime, and maybe gets a little too sappy sometimes. But there are moments like the Fuko arc, like the Nagisa arc. There are lots of moments that get you close to those tears, and make you feel the feels. So Clannad season 1 I think is definitely good. But viewing it by itself, it's just good. But when you combine it with After Story, it becomes great. That's sort of my thinking. Clara, what would you say?
Well, I mean, I've been pushing for this since last year, so I'm already in love with it completely, and I cannot wait for everyone to see After Story. I know Alex already has, but I can't wait for everyone else to.
Exactly. Kenny.
Wait for After Story.
Well, you got to watch Clannad then After Story.
Yes, I'm waiting for it. I'm getting literally it's all I am. I'm mentally preparing myself for After Story.
All right.
It won't be enough.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm getting ready for.
Peter?
This show by itself is a cute romantic comedy sort of anime. I really liked it, and it's definitely something that I would be willing to show to another person. I could sit down and watch this one without feeling awkward or ashamed at any point of a lot of the time the shows do things that make you have to explain things or you feel awkward or bad. This is just a honest, it's a nice show.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's one that could get non-anime viewers in, especially, I bet you show this
We call them animes.
Yes, because my sisters both like this, and of course they're into animes, but...
I got great messages over Christmas break of Alex informing me about what his sisters thought of Clannad.
It's true. I was giving her episode updates because...
It's episode 21 of After Story, episode 16 of After Story, and I was like...
Wait, you watched 21 before 16?
No,
No,
I was out
I would
of
never
order.
do that to them.
But it was oh.
Yeah, because we marathon some of the more feelsy episodes,
episode
all
21,
in one night.
That broke me.
In Clannad?
The After Story.
You weren't there for that.
You haven't
Oh,
seen
you guys
it
believe
yet.
me.
It will break you, though.
Oh,
So
good.
be
Good. I have
prepared
that
for
coming.
that.
So we'll succeed.
Andrew.
I liked it. Like Pete said, it was by itself because we haven't seen After Story yet, which seems like Kenny said is the theme.
After
tonight's.
Story.
After Story. Apparently fantastic.
You just what you have no
Top
idea.
number 2 anime according to the Anime News Network right now, of just all time under Steins Gate only.
Steins Gate's the best.
Steins Gate's the best.
Dragon Ball Z is the best.
On their little ranking thing.
Well, they're
at
wrong.
least.
We need to watch Dragon Ball Z.
Thank you.
We're not gonna watch Dragon Ball.
I'm gonna
I'll
force
watch
you
it.
to.
I'm not watching Dragon Ball
forcing
Z.
you to.
I'm just gonna make fun of it the whole time. I'm just gonna do whatever the abridged
I'll
said.
watch
Every
Digimon and say
line
it's
from
really
the
good.
abridged is
You'll
just
feel
gonna be like
guilty.
if we ever watch Hellsing. We can't watch Ultimate Hellsing because we're just gonna do all the lines.
Back to what you were saying.
That's how I
before.
feel
Anyway.
about The Dark Knight because of Oniji's Dark Knight. I can't actually take it
my God.
seriously.
That's fair.
Sucks.
But that's a great movie. Anyway, I'm on topic. Clannad, it's good. It's cute. It's funny.
Thanks.
Could tell me it's OTP, but it's just me.
That's just you. All right, so that's the end of our Clannad episode. So I guess probably in 2 weeks' time, I'm trying to think. We have next week, and we have a week of school, and then it's spring break, right?
3 weeks till spring break.
Okay,
It's
that's what I
March
thought.
6th.
So it'll be the Thursday before spring break that we'll probably do the podcast on After Story.
Always do.
We'll try. I want to try to get us all together to watch maybe what would you say, Claire? 15 through 18, I think. That's a range for a marathon
I think
as a
that
group.
would probably work. Maybe up to 19.
I'm
Yeah.
bringing your bridal veil so you don't see me cry.
But it
No,
won't
wear it.
Won't block your whole face though.
I don't care. You won't see me cry then.
All right, fair enough.
Big girls don't cry.
So we'll try to organize that,
I do.
and we'll be back to talk about all the feels of After Story at that point in time. So if you enjoyed this podcast, you can email us at techheads@avwproductions.com. You can follow us on Twitter at techheadsou. I just remembered you still need to give your Japanese thing, so think of that.
Starfish.
Okay, so you know how senpai is pretty well known in Japan as being someone higher up than you, normally an upperclassman? The opposite of that is kohai, which is underclassman.
Cool. Didn't know that.
Hey, Kohai.
So like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, give us ratings, reviews on iTunes, all that good stuff. Send us emails if you like. And I want to thank all of you for being here with me today.
No, Alex,
Props.
thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kenny.
We try.
Wink.
Kohai. Oh, no, actually.
What the hell? I was with the same person. Wait,
Yeah.
I came out
okay.
wrong.
So, what's current classmen
You
saying?
it's pretty much just the honorific. If they're the same level as you,
So
It's
Who's older?
I'm March 19th.
What year?
1993.
Then I am older than you.
Senpai. Kenny
Come on.
Senpai.
I am the supreme commander.
No, you're Kenny Desu. We have to add the Desu for you.
see, desu is just an affirmative ending that you add on to sentences.
This is a long time joke between Kenny and I. I must use it.
Well, I learned it's deska, so I gotta say it that way.
Oh,
Des.
Desu, Deska. All right.
You taught me that.
Yes.
There you go. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks for Shred Cells episode 52, where we talk about Clannad After Story.
We're blasting off again.
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2014.